Well, hey y'all, gonna do a quick little video for Saturday because today is Stockman Stampede. I heard, I'm not sure who started that tag, but I watch a bunch of knife channels on here, and Saturday is the day everybody shows off their Stockmans. I'm not gonna go through all of my Stockmans, but I'm gonna go through one of my favorites, one that I've been carrying quite a bit lately. In fact, I don't know how many y'all watched, but I made a bunch of shorts featuring this little knife, and I have really gotten reacquainted with it and love it. I've had this knife since 2008 when I bought it new, and you can tell it's a 2008 because of the tang stamp there, right here. This is a case large Stockman. I don't go into a bunch of specs. I think, at least for me, I think it's a little boring when people go through all the every little spec. You can look that stuff up, but I just want to talk about the knife. This is encased chrome vanadium steel, and what that is a proprietary blend from Case of their high carbon steel, which I have learned that they have now switched to 1095, and going down the road, that's going to be the carbon steel that they use. It's really kind of hard to find any knife in CV steel from Case nowadays, because they have just been kind of going the stainless route for a while. And stainless is okay. In fact, I did a video earlier talking about it, but there is a guy, I think they're called Cedric and Ada, and this guy did a test of the Case stainless steel versus chrome vanadium steel. And he wasn't real scientific, but he had a rope and he did some cutting, and the knife dulled at the same rate. It sharpened up just as quick. He said he really couldn't even really notice an edge toward either one. But anyhow, you have the old timers, including me, that swear that Case chrome vanadium is the best. And I don't know. What you don't get with stainless steel is this. You don't get this beautiful patina that you get with chrome vanadium. And I think the 1095, I have some Great Eastern Cutlery knives in 1095, and it'll patina too. So to me, that's, I don't know, when I think of a pocket knife, when I think of a real pocket knife, I often think that it's got to be in a high carbon steel. Anyway, I like to wear this thing. Like I said, I've had it since 2008. You'll see give you a little view of the snap here. Got a good little snap. Good strong back springs. I'll give you a look around. We'll go over here to the, give you a sample of that. Do this Mike Latham style. Boom, got a good snap on the spade blade. And this has, a very traditional Stockman pattern of blades. We'll walk around here and I'll give you the sheep's foot blade. You get a very substantial blade on all three of these blades. And then, of course, the main blade, the clip point blade. I'll leave that open for you. These scales are in what Case calls their Pete C jigged bone. Now that is a very common jigging pattern in color for Case. It's very popular, and it's like one of their main jigging patterns. This one, however, has aged quite a bit. As you can see, it's gotten a little patina on the color, from the oils, what you cut, your hands, everything else. And I have carried this a lot. I think I've carried this knife almost more than any of the other knives I have in my collection, which is really more of an accumulation because I kind of gather them up and I use them all. But I've fallen back in love with this knife, I have to say. In fact, I used it just today. I did a little short earlier to cut up some genuine Texas barbecue with this knife. And that patina you see on here, and patina is the discoloration on the blade that you see there. And some people love that, and some of the new guys hate that. But, us old timers, us guys that have been carrying traditional pocket knives for a while, I definitely know that most of us love it because that's what our grandpas had, that's what our dads had, and at one time you couldn't get stainless steel. You bought a case knife, which was one of the only real knives that any man would carry back in the day. It came in chrome vanadium. It came in a high carbon steel. You didn't have the stainless steel option. And this patina came about naturally just from using it. Some guys will force it with mustard or vinegar or all kinds of other stuff. I just use it, wipe it off after I use it, try to take care of it, and do what I can. What a patina is, it's oxidization. It's like a form of rust. I guess it really is rust, but it's controlled. It forms a protective layer over the steel from that oxidization, and it protects it from corrosive rust or damaging rust. And that's why some people, they put forced patinas on, and then they actually, to be fair, they do use their knives, but it will keep it from rusting if you use your knife and you can't or don't have time to clean it off. You just wipe it on your pant leg and it'll protect it. But you still got to take care of these knives. In fact, these knives require just a little bit of extra care. Going into a little bit of history of I'll give you a view of the snap on the main blade there. Going into a little bit of history for the Stockman, there's some channels that really do a good job of going into the history. And what I'm about to tell you, they're not really, really sure about. But there has been some articles, and what they believed was back in the heyday of the American cowboy, when they were doing the cattle drives, the demand for knives, pocket knives especially, shot up because these guys were the original EDC guys, I guess. Well, actually not. It goes all the way back to the Romans. But anyhow, these guys, they needed a good portable pocket knife that they could stow away. Now, of course, the guys living out on the range, they would have a fixed blade, a really good fixed blade. But it's just not practical to do a lot of the stuff you're going to do with the fixed blade. So you needed something small that could be everything. So most of the knives from that time, they came from England, and specifically Sheffield, England. And they had, I forgot the name of the main company, but they had a gentleman come over from Sheffield, England, and he interviewed some of the ranchers and cowboys and asked them, hey, what are y'all looking for in a knife? And they told him and kind of collaborated and came up with this design. This knife had to be a camp knife where you could, do all your camp chores. It had to be able to for livestock husbandry, you had to be able to cut off the testicles and turn bulls into steers. You had to be able to, all kinds of stuff. Cut a plug from a square tobacco. I guess the tobacco back in the day used to come in these little square packs, and you had to cut you off a little plug so you could chew your tobacco. All kinds of things, any numerous things. And the design that they came up with, which has changed slightly, was this design. Like I said, this blade, the main blade that I showed you, this clip point blade, I think it's about 3.25 inches long. And overall length is, I think it's about 4 inches or a little under 4 inches. It's not terribly long, but I'll give you a comparison for those of you case guys. This here is a case medium Stockman. I'll do a review on it later. But that's the size comparison. So you can kind of see there. It's what they call a serpentine pattern because it kind of goes in a serpentine fashion. And the bolsters are square. I'll give you a comparison because this is the case medium Stockman in a rounded bolster pattern. Also a serpentine pattern. So that's the difference. And these are big squared off bolsters. I think you can get this in rounded too and some other configurations, but to me, this is one of the ones I love the best because it is just a 4 on the floor case Stockman. It is pretty ubiquitous, but this knife, I really love this knife, and the reason I love it, probably the reason the old American cowboys loved it, is you have 3 blades. So when you dull one blade and you need a sharp blade generally at least one of these three blades were going to be really sharp for you. And since it's, in my opinion, like once again, that guy sort of disproved, but my opinion is because it's carbon steel, it's really easy to touch up. It's really easy to maintain and keep it sharp. You can strap it on your jeans. You can strap it on your belt. And it takes a razor's edge. I can't, I'm not going to cut paper and do all that right now. Unless y'all really want me to, I'd do it. But this knife has a razor sharp edge. It'll shave your face. And just for grins, I did that one day. I didn't do a full shave, but I shaved about half my face with this knife, showing a friend of mine that it could do it. And it is really sharp. All the blades. It's not a wonder folder, as I call them. You know, you can't get the blade out in a tenth of a second. You can't. You know, it's not made out of super steel. It's not all. Although you can. Although there are some makers that are making this design and these knives in super steels, like 154 cm S30V. I don't know if they've ever come out with a crew wear or something like that yet, but I do know they got 154 cm S30V traditional slip joints like this. I guess that's fine. I don't know. I like the traditional knife and the traditional steels. And I like it because it was good enough for my granddad, who's the guy I idolized. We had a ranch, and he used it on that ranch. And that guy was one of my heroes. And he just used a knife almost just like this for everything. And, you know, he wasn't a collector. He wasn't a steel snob. He was just a guy that knew what a good knife was. He took care of it. He lived through the Depression, and you got something. You only bought the best that you could afford, and you took care of the stuff you had. You used it for everything, but you took care of it, and I kind of learned some lessons from him. Anyway, don't want to go on a whole lot, but I just wanted to do a little talking about my case large Stockman. I'll give you an overview here. You can see the fit and finish. We'll look at the springs. It's very smooth to the touch. I don't know if it's perfect. It's pretty close, you know, but it's really good. You look at the transition between the bone and the bolster. The pins are all polished, flush with the bone. Like I said, this one, the bone has some patina where it's absorbed oils and stuff, and it's taken on a really nice, dark, rich color that I like, and it'll get better with time. But we'll give you a little look around the finish here. We'll give you some of the centering now. I wouldn't get it's centered pretty well for what it is. I wouldn't get excited about the centering, especially on a Stockman. You figure this is some old technology, and to get all of these blades into this package and make them play well together, it takes a little bit of engineering, and sometimes you do get some blade rub. In fact, I'll show you on this spade blade. You know, you see a little. I don't know if you can, camera's picking it up, but you have a couple little. There you go, right there, a little rub mark. That is indicative of the Stockman pattern. I don't think you're going to find one that doesn't have it. Maybe, but you're going to have that. There's a way to keep that from happening, and the way is you can open the sheep's foot blade, and then you open the spade blade, and then you close up your sheep's foot blade. What I will tell you, and this is just my opinion now, but if you look at the back spring, you have two back springs, but you have three blades. What that means is the spade blade and the sheep's foot blade are sharing a spring. If you open both blades at the same time and put tension on that back spring, you run a risk of damaging that back spring because you put too much tension on it. I've only had one back spring break. That was on a Rough Rider knife, and I did a video about it. And I had only opened one blade at a time. But what I've always been told, even by knife makers, is you don't want to do that. You know, you go ahead and accept the blade rub because you only want to open one blade at a time because it's better on your back springs, and it can help increase the longevity of your knife, which is what you want to do. I mean, you got a good knife and you love it, you want to take care of it. Also taking care of it, I don't use a lot of petroleum products on this knife when I'm lubricating. I lubricate the joints. I might put a tiny drop, but what I lubricate the blades with when I can is olive oil. And there's a lot of people that'll tell you don't do that. They'll say don't lubricate your knife with olive oil because it'll go rancid. Well, maybe, but it never has for me. And I use this knife on food a lot. I use it on everything, but I do use it to cut food. I made a video where I was cutting up some barbecue, cutting up steaks, anything. And you don't want petroleum products getting into your steak or your barbecue. So I put a little olive oil on the blades, just a light coat. You don't take much. And I think the old timers used to use tallow or rendered bacon grease. And that's what they used to use. They would keep the blades coated in a light coating of rendered tallow or bacon grease. Give you a look around. Now, everybody's taste is different, but I think this is just beautiful. As these things age, I think they take on a character and a beauty that only a traditional knife made in a traditional way can do. And there's kind of been a little resurgence back in the traditional world, and that's good. But there's also been some nut jobs. All they do is collect and take Instagram photos. These knives were meant to use. But if you're one of those guys, I'm not trying to offend you. If you're just a collector, that's cool. Totally cool. And that's why they make knives like Rough Rider. You can get them Rough Riders, and they're really good knives, and you can use them. They're really inexpensive, and they're made in China. Although some guys collect those too, and there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, this has been a little look at my Case Large Stockman for Stockman Saturday, and I really appreciate y'all stopping by. Y'all have a good day.